All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Graniterock's Product Knowledge Seminar. My name is Jackie Serrano, and I will be your host today. For today's seminar, we have a very special guest who's an expert in the world of cement and concrete products. We hope you are all as excited and ready to learn as we are. For everyone's information, we will be recording this session to grant replay access to those who are unable to join our live event today. Before we get started, we ask everyone to please keep yourselves muted and camera turned off. The chat is open, so we encourage questions or comments throughout the meeting. If you happen to have a question, please add it to the chat section and we will try to answer them as soon as possible. I will now hand it off to Dave.
Everybody see that?
Yes, we can see that.
It's bright colors. Thanks for the intro. Thanks for having me here. It's really cool to be around you guys and get everybody in the same room. Wish we could all have lunch together afterwards, but this is definitely worth your time. I'm going to try to make it worth your time. And what we're going to do is, like I said, my name is Dave Ford. Been doing this a little bit. Been fortunate to be a partner with Granite for 26 years. So I'm really thankful to be able to do these things for you guys and help you out and be at your disposal when it comes to this product knowledge, because it can get kind of overwhelming with all the different products we have and all the different products out there. And in 26 years, I still get asked a question about something I've never heard. So we'll try to cut through this and give you kind of like an overview of what we're going to talk about. With the damaged concrete, we're looking at the causes for these cracking and failures and repair errors and pitfalls and things to avoid when you're repairing concrete or you come upon a situation you need to do some repairs. We're going to go over the surface prep and things that need to be done to ensure that it turns out correct, and choosing the proper product for the application, as well as the procedures and the conditions that need to be met for that to be a success. And then kind of towards the end, do a little surface renovation, because that's one of the things that we were asked about the most, was not just the crack repair, but how do I make it look decent? And especially with the way the market for housing and things like that, it's important to have those things to make sure you've got a nice appeal, curb appeal, and get most value for what you have. So the topics we're going to talk about, like I said, surface condition and preparation. It's one of the top things that lead to a failure, not because of necessarily user error, just lack of knowledge on what you need to do and what needs to happen. And some of this stuff we think is like an infomercial for Shawow's or something, where you can just put it down over anything and it works and stops leaks and blah, blah, blah. We're also going to talk about cracks, spalling and chipping and repairing those, and surface prep for those, as well as overlays, resurfacing, and then kind of towards the end, a little thing on waterproofing. So that way you have kind of an idea of what the scope of beginning to end and or to help you with your projects on what you need to do. So some of the things that we will discuss, and one of the important things, is the causes for these cracks and failures. I put up a few pictures to kind of see, I think we've all seen this in our travels. We might see it in our front yard and our driveway. One of the bigger causes for those cracks and failures is substrate issues. If you don't have a solid foundation, you don't have what it takes for the concrete to survive and or allow for the natural occurrences that happen here, not just earthquakes in California, but settlement and movement of soil, droughts like we're in right now. Like you can see in the bottom right picture, there's some separation there, and one half of that slab there is sinking down, more than likely caused by a substrate issue. Either water got in there and washed out the substrate, or it wasn't properly prepared beforehand. Poor prep on that part is almost always the cause. But like I said, sometimes you have a crack, water rushes down there and washes it out. No drainage underneath the slab, no drainage around the slab. Maybe not putting rock down before you put down your slab. Rebar, soft soil, even things like tree roots. I see kind of a tree in the corner there. That could be the demon that's causing that too. Trees and concrete usually don't mix really well together. Also, with that substrate, there could have been something really heavy on it and it just can't support the weight. Some of the other problems that can occur, like an improper mixing of the product, your water to mix ratios, it's really important. A lot of people Some of the pitfalls they come across when they're mixing their own concrete mix at home is they think they have to put a little more water in so they could work it really good. And what that does is it leads to extra shrinkage cracks, like you're going to see right there on the top left corner. Those are typically involved with shrinkage. Um, if you put 100 foot of concrete down, the natural shrinkage rate on the 100 foot of concrete is going to be a half an inch. So with that in mind, you got to compensate for those things and help it so it does shrink and crack in the right places, which we'll talk a little bit later in this subject about control joints and things like that. Curing conditions also, if you're pouring concrete and there's a lot of wind, it's hot, a lot of sunshine on it, it can cause it to dehydrate. People have a tendency to want to retemper that concrete, in other words, mist it so they can work it. That's usually what you're seeing in the top right corners, things like that, where you've got an excessive amount of bleed water come up and the cream rises to the top and too much of it, and then they try to finish it off, and the whole top layer just kind of just starts spalling off like that. That's a real common practice and what kind of the weekend warriors type of tend to do. Also, if you work the concrete too much, if you're finishing it and you're bringing up so much bleed water, you're bringing up that cream and it's too much, it'll also do that same thing like a plastic shrinkage crack where it looks like a porcelain plate or it just starts chipping off in areas like that. Like you're going to see on top left over to the corner on the left, you'll see that's probably a finish issue as well as the one on the right hand side. Vibration and heavy equipment is another one too. See, with the concrete, you're going to have aggregate in the concrete. If you've got heavy machinery that vibrates a lot, what it does is it actually vibrates that aggregate in there and it shakes it loose and cracks it. Things like non-shrink grouts are what you want to use for base plates for heavy vibrating machinery, not concrete mix. You'll see in factories, you'll see slabs poured or at least pads poured with that in there. A lot of times they'll do it on even telephone poles and street lights and things like that. That's going to have a lot of load on it, where you don't want to have the shrinkage around that aggregate that's going to cause it to crack and break. Like I said, with the shrinkage, that's really important, and the lack of control in expansion joints is huge. If you have, no more than 10 by 10 on the expansion joints, and what they're going to do, it's kind of like cutting glass. The expansion joints are cuts that's made in the concrete, so that way, when it shifts, moves, settles, the water table rises and settles in the winter and summer, it's going to allow it to crack where you want it to crack. So you're scoring it just like you would score glass. So when you break it, it breaks along that crack. It's really important to have that because otherwise, if you have no control joints, it's just going to break at the weakest point and keep going. And now that crack becomes a control joint. So it's just going to keep moving on that weakest point. It's going to open it up. It's going to allow water to get down in there, and that's going to cause a lot of problems as it washes the substrate out. And when it does that, you're going to have the settlement like in the bottom right corner. Like I said, tree roots, you can see that left picture there. It's kind of pushing out on that edge. That's probably a tree root growing into it. There's sometimes, you can patch it all and use these great products that we have and maybe even our competitor has. But if you don't solve the root of the problem, so to speak, especially with a tree, you're going to run into problems where it's just going to break out what you put in there and keep going. So it's important to also, when you're recommending not just products for how to do these repairs, it's important to recommend ways to solve it from happening or find out the source and what happened. Is there drainage? Is there hydrostatic water pressure? Is there a tree next to it that's raising it? Those are all things that you really need to find out to help them get the right product and help them understand. Because sometimes you can make the repairs and then when it breaks out again, they're really kind of disappointed because they think the product didn't work when actually the problem wasn't solved. So with the surface preparation, it's really important. Everything from cooking an egg to painting a house. If you're using the wrong pan, if you're not cleaning off the old debris paint on a house, the paint's going to peel up, egg's going to stick to the pan. Just like everything else in life, it's all about the preparation and the surface prep and getting it prepared to accept whatever you're going to put on top of it. Cleaning is really important to get all that grease, as much grease as you can out, dirt, paint, anything that's not concrete, not cementitious base, is going to affect how it bonds. And if it can't absorb, and it's always got to have some type of absorption rate into the substrate, it's going to float on top and it's guaranteed it's going to crack. The surface condition also is important too, just like we saw on the past slide. I'll go back to that. If you're looking at the top left corner, see all those little debris chunks that are getting ready to fall out? it's best to just take them out. You're patching the material anyways. What that's going to cause is that's going to cause an air bubble underneath it. It's going to cause a gap. And when weight's applied to it, it's just going to fracture through to the new patch that you put on top of it. So remove all the loose debris, everything that's not firmly attached to the slab. That's going to help you ensure that you have a good bond to that as well. Excuse me. And there are two different products that use to help bond existing to the new. Concrete acrylic fortifier, which is on the bottom, and concrete bonding adhesive. The concrete bonding adhesive at the top it's a primer, if you will. What it does is it goes over the surface, it covers the pores, it soaks into the pores, so that way there's not excessive moisture loss. And then it also acts like a contact cement. So when you put the new product on top of the old, it remulsifies and gets really sticky, and that helps make a chemical bond as well. So that's really important, especially if you have an old slab that's really porous. Even though it doesn't look like it absorbs a lot of water, when you put the hose on it and water disappears, it's going somewhere. So that's an example of that. You'd want to use that on patches that are either extremely porous or that are over 1 inch in depth. And the acrylic fortifier is an admix that you want to add to the concrete mix or to the patching product. That's like a steroids for it. It just amplifies the adhesion, water resistance, helps with the cure, and that's 1 inch or less. But you do not want to use these two together. You do not. One's a latex, one's an acrylic. When you do use them together, it will crack. So it's really important to follow the product specifications on whether or not need it, because a lot of the new products, you don't need it. And we'll kind of go over that once I get into the other products that I'm going to talk about. We'll be able to see what products to use and what products not to use these on. Anytime you're etching, if you're going to etch your driveway, say it's so bad with grease and things like that, and you actually want to etch it or use a really powerful cleaner, it's really important to neutralize that at the end. Get a baking soda water slurry, really scrub it in and rinse, 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 dilute it. Make sure that it's absolutely free of any kind of chemical, any kind of acid or anything like that, or it's going to affect how this product works, any product works. If you're blasting the floor, you're blasting your driveway or your sidewalk or whatever, just make sure when you do blast it that you just rinse it really good to get any debris out of the pores and the profile of the concrete. Really important too with the repair product specifications. Like I said, there are products that we have and products that I'm going to talk about where you don't want to use either of these products. There's some that one, fortifier is recommended or bond adhesive is recommended. You can get all the data sheets on our website. If you go to quikrete.com and you pull up the website, there's a drop-down menu with the 3 lines up in the right corner. Click on that, go to For the Pros, because you're all pros, and then it'll go product by alphabetical listing, go to exactly what product you want. When you click on that, there's going to be a screen come up with some bullet points and some basic descriptions of the product. You scroll down on the left corner, the left side of the thing, you're going to see it's called data sheet. When you pull up the data sheet, it looks like this. And it gives all the information you're going to need, all the pitfalls, all the surface prep, all the limitations, applications, mixing, everything you're going to need. And it's also going to tell you, things like do not use acrylic-based products or bonding adhesives on it. So really important to make sure you understand the product, which is kind of what we're leading into right here. You need to know the limitations and advantages of the product that you're going to use. Not only just, there's a lot of products that do almost everything, but you can't have one product that does absolutely everything. That'd be cool if we did, but then again, wouldn't have much of a price list. So you want to really pay attention to what the products are capable of doing, what you need them to do, understand those so you can choose the right product going into it. The performance of the product, everything that we sell personally at Quikrete is more than good enough for what you need. You're talking about putting, 7,000 PSI patch product on a 4,000 PSI slab. The adhesion levels, the bond strengths, all that stuff. The performance is great, but make sure it meets a performance that you're going to require, such as heavy machinery, equipment, vibrations, things like that. You need to make sure that the performance of the product matches what your use is. The ease of use also is another thing. Things like self-levelings can be a little tricky for those who don't use it all the time. So read about this product, say, oh man, look at this. All I have to do is pour it on my floor and we're good to go. Well, it's a little trickier than some of the other patching products you can use out there. So you have to really understand the ease of use and what you're capable of. Reach out to the Granite people, reach out to me. Everybody's got my cell phone, and I actually do answer my cell phone. So if there is questions you have, is this the right thing for me? Can I do this? Don't be afraid. It's just concrete, but yes, you can do it. It's just understand the ease of use and how to prepare for it, which it goes right to the thing with the knowledge of the product and the spec data sheet. Almost everything you need to know we can find on YouTube, I guess, but these product data sheets are specifically designed for Quikrete products by Quikrete people and approved by the spec data system. So they're going to give you all the information you need to make sure everything goes smooth, no hiccups, no need to call Dave when something happens. So one of the first products we're going to talk about, it's one of the most popular products we've had in the 27 years I've been here. 26. It's called vinyl concrete patcher. They call it vinyl concrete patcher because it has a resin in it that's similar to a vinyl. And what that does is that creates a great adhesion. The adhesion means this product can go down to a feather edge and usually up to about a 1/2 inch in one lift, and it doesn't lift at a feather edge. But once again, talking about product limitations and things you want to watch out for, this is not an overlay product. You want to stick within about a 10 square foot area when using this product. You don't want to surface a whole slab with it. This is usually like if you got a tree root growing up and a little separation, you got kind of need to make a little ramp out of it, or you have a pop out or a spall or a chip in the concrete. This works perfectly because what it does is it mixes up just like peanut butter, a plastic consistency. Your surface prep for it is very simple. Just make sure there's no loose debris, make sure it's clean of dirt, paint, grease, oil, saps, things like that. Make sure it's damp, but no standing water when you apply this. Mix the material up, smooth it in, smooth it off, and walk away. The product itself is like 5,000 PSI, but the bond strength's incredible. So being able to go down to a feather edge, you can make those little ramps and transitions and things like that, or repair thin chips and pop outs and things like that. So you won't have to worry about it chipping up and popping up as things are rolling over, even things like pallet jacks. So it also works great for repairing cracks. But just remember that some of these hairline cracks, you need to get material in there. So you're going to have to open up the crack. So you want to open it up so you can get some of this material in there because you're trying to, cram a sanded cement product down in a hairline. It's not really going to work because there's not enough material there for it to work. Same things apply. Make sure it's clean, make sure it's damp. Go ahead and push it down in there and then screed it off and walk away. And it's a great patch. I mean, this product, we sold a lot of this product. So does Granite, just because of its ease of use, user friendly, and professional grade quality all in one. So the homeowners can use it and feel confident about it. Professionals the same way. They can use it and not worry about it being a substandard product, so to speak. And if you guys have any questions too, please just do the little thing with the hand. I'd be glad to answer them as we go along. So the next product we have, talking about limitations and things like that, this one has a much better ability to do more things than even the vinyl concrete patch. It's called Fast Set Repair Mortar, and it's our commercial grade line. What this product is it's a fast setting repair product that can go vertical and overhead. It usually sets in about 20 to 30 minutes. You can go 2 inches thick with this product. You can extend it with aggregate if you need to. If you are doing things like you're going to repair something that's over 2 inches, definitely make sure it's rebar reinforced. If you come across a big busted out piece of a parking garage structure and there's rusted rebar, you need to make sure you clean the rust off that rebar because that will cause a crack. Forgot to mention that in the cause of the cracks too. That's another thing is corrosive rebar. When that rust happens, it creates a process that does actually cause cracks. The nice thing about this one is just like the vinyl concrete patch, you do not need any other bonding agent with it. No fortifier, no bonding adhesive. These have that in the mix. So what that means is that's one less step, one less thing for you to mix. The same applies with this as far as surface prep. You just make sure it's clean, damp, full of loose debris. With this one, you mix it up pretty quick because, no more than you can use in about 15 minutes. Otherwise, you'd be tossing around a bunch of boulders in a bucket. And just put it on the product, put it in the space, screed it off. It doesn't matter if it's overhead or vertical like a curb because it doesn't slump. It doesn't want to sag down. You can actually sculpt the edges of it You're looking at like 6,000 psi, but it's the bond strength and the actual strength of the material staying in place. This is one of those ones, if you have one material on your truck that's going to get you through a day, this is pretty much the one. I've gone feather edge with it, but it was underneath the carpeting, so I honestly can't tell you how it turned out. But by the time we were putting carpet over it, it didn't seem like it was going to lift. But they always say you got to follow your instructions on your data sheet. So I don't know how well it would do exposed at a feather edge, but if you've got at least an eighth of an inch, you've got no problem. Um, so it's a really just an all-purpose product, a great all-purpose patching product. As far as if you're gonna, even if you wanted to extend it with aggregate, usually just like a 3/8 aggregate, you'd have an incredible concrete mix. But one thing I should mention is a lot of people are saying they're doing, overlays, or they're doing large patches that are over 2 inches. Just use bonding adhesive on the substrate and concrete mix. You're going to save yourself a lot of money and a lot of trouble. It's cheaper. It's a good way to repair anything 2 inches or less. Because the reason why you can't do concrete less is because the aggregate's in the way, and you can't thin it out. You can't get it down low enough without having a compacted aggregate surface. So that's something to just really keep in mind. I mean, as far as water, usually it's about 3 pints of water. Also, this one, it's called a plastic consistency. So you want to mix it about like you'd see a peanut butter. And I mean the good old peanut butter. It's not good for you, not the new stuff. But you want it to be like a peanut butter consistency and almost oatmeal consistency. And you get that by going with 3 quarts of water. You're going to want to damp cure this for the first 24 hours. One important thing you should know is that anytime you have added acrylic fortifier, which we'll talk about in the next slide or 2 slides from now, you don't want to damp cure it. Air is important to the curing process with acrylic fortifier. And I'll get a little bit more into that later, but any other time you're curing these products, you just want to damp cure them, mist them, fog them with some water for the first 24 hours. Also, you don't want to use these products or any products or pretty much any concrete when it's going to go below freezing the night before, or if it's right in the morning and it's going to have extreme heat on it. If you have no choice and you have to do that, you're going to have to put a mist sprinkler on it, continuous, so it doesn't interfere with the hydration process, or you're going to have to throw burlap over it and soak the burlap. So any questions on anything else? We're rolling. All right, so one of the easy way to do.
Sorry to
No, absolutely.
I think Junior has a question. Go ahead, Junior.
Oh, I didn't see it in the corner. I apologize.
Hey, Dave, can you add color to that?
Yeah, you actually can. The color is going to be kind of tricky because of all the polymers that's in it for adhesion and for bonding and the different fondues they do in there for the products to be fast setting. The colors may turn out a little bit darker that I've seen. And unfortunately, it's not available in a white base. So just keep that in mind if you're using like a Davis color and you just want to splash a little black in there to do like a charcoal-y kind of color. Go light because usually, and do a test first because usually it turns out a little bit darker. And it probably won't match exactly. That's the hardest thing, is trying to get anything to match existing concrete. So many things affect the color of the concrete: the cure, the water content, the cement ratio, the iron in the cement, any additives, any admixes, how much it's worked, if it's sunny, if it's windy. So you can add color though to it. Sorry to drag that out.
Thank you.
You got it, bud. So we're talking about like ease of use. This is about as easy as it gets. When you got the cracks in your concrete, the polyurethane based crack sealant is incredible. Polyurethane base because the poly really bonds and sticks and is very, very, very flexible. So you won't have to worry about it busting out if you really have an active slab. This one has a little bit of a sandy texture to it, so it matches kind of the existing surface a lot better. And being a non-sag formula, if it's on a driveway, you're not going to worry about it running down the driveway. It's like tack free in 2 hours. So the one thing I need to stress is that if you use this kind of crack sealant or pour in, crack seal or an epoxy, You can't overlay cementitious products over these because they won't adhere to it. So this is going to be something you're not going to want to overlay ever, because it's really hard to get all the residue out of this. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to do any overlays, you're going to do any patching on it, you're going to lay, put a base down for some tile over the top of it, a resurfacer, sand mix, whatever, it will not stick to this or an epoxy or a latex-based crack seal. So it's really important when you're deciding to use this that you're going to just understand that and going forward. But as far as easy use, it's fantastic. Stucco cracks, everything, it's great. You can paint over it, but it's an amazing, just really simple product. And what it's doing most importantly is it's stopping the water from running down the crack and stopping it from getting bigger and washing it out. Also from, if the crack's a little bit bigger, maybe somebody twisting an ankle or catching a heel in it or something. Alrighty. So talking about the overlays, there's a lot of different products that are out there and we make as well, that are for overlays. And sometimes just the most simple things get the best results. This product's called sand topping mix. It's made as an overlay. It's just a sand and cement, but it's 5,000 psi on its own. You have to hand finish this just like you would any slab. It's not a self-leveling, but the nice thing about it is it probably costs probably a quarter of what a normal bag of self-level costs, or some type of expensive overlay, and you're getting the same results. You go 2 inches down to about a 1/4 inch with this stuff. You can build it up thick if you need to do like a bed, a thick setting bed for tile. And then this is a product that you're going to want to use bonding adhesive or fortifier with. You're going to want to use fortifier if it's 1 inch or less, and you're going to want to use bonding adhesive if it's 1 inch or more. Remember, the fortifier is the admix, bonding adhesive is the primer. But it's just so simple and it works fantastic. We've had a couple jobs with this, and that we've done with some of the outside salespeople, that it's just so simple. It works so good. And it's one that's overlooked because everybody's looking for the super product. This one is just simple and it's fantastic and it works great. And they're going to save a lot of money. You're going to have some sweat equity in it because you're going to have to finish it yourself. You're not just going to pour it and walk away. But you're going to have tremendous savings, and it's proven time and time again that just a sand topping mix like this works fantastic. So you won't have to worry about those things. You can take it down below 2 inches. If you need to go over 2 inches in areas, you can extend it with aggregate as well. And this is the product that you're going to want to use the fortifier and or the bonding adhesive with. So sometimes it's easier just to keep it simple. Success, simple. I mean, they both, it's what we need to refocus on. The next product, as far as resurfacing and renovating concrete mix, is called Recap. Probably what we heard, at least what I heard most and over years and years of doing this was, I patched I used vinyl concrete patch, or I used the fast set repair mortar, and I fixed the cracks, and yeah, they're holding up great, looks good, but now my driveway looks like a spider web. Is there a way I can make it, match or blend it in or whatever? This product called Recap, which it's the same, kind of the same product as our concrete resurfacer that we used to sell black and the blue bags back a while ago. This product answers that question and then some. It's like taking your car to the body shop. They do all the Bondo work, sand it all out, and you can still see it as soon as you paint it. It's invisible. That's what this is. You're talking about taking a driveway and a walkway of a house and coating it with the Recap. It looks like brand new concrete, and there's your curb appeal. Plus, it looks nice when you come home. It looks like brand new concrete. The product, it's really easy to use, believe it or not. The prep is going to be at least like a 3,000 psi pressure washer. Make sure all the grease, all the dirt, all the paint, everything's out of there before you start using this product. If you do have to etch, make sure it's neutralized. Now, the key with this product is you're going to have to do all your crack repair beforehand, because this will not fill. Well, it'll fill it, but you'll probably dump about 3 bags of this stuff down in the crack. You want to make sure your cracks are repaired. If there's any serious spalling, you can actually mix this stuff up and use it as a patching repair product. Mix it up into a plastic consistency. Same rules apply. Make sure there's no loose debris. Make sure it's clean. Make sure it's damp when you put this down. And you can mix it up plastic consistency, use it to do your patch. wait 24 hours, and you can come back over the top of it. So this product, you're going to want to add like probably right around between 2 3/4 and 3 1/4 quarts of water. You add that to the bucket. Start out with 2 3/4. You get a 5-gallon bucket and a paddle mixer and a drill. And you don't want to whip it fast, because when you whip it really hard, it gets little air bubbles in it, and those little air bubbles pop. So you want to do a nice, slow, steady mix, about medium speed, and start adding the product in there with the water in there until you get a good slurry consistency. It's going to be about like a thin maple syrup, if you will. So you want to mix it at least for 2 minutes, then let it set for about 2 minutes in the bucket, then hit it again for another minute with a mix, and then pour it out and start squeegeeing it. And it's really important you retain your control joints, your expansion joints. How you can do that is you can either put tape in there and actually tape the joints off, and you're going to want to work with one area at a time, one pad at a time, because you have this product sets off in about 20 minutes. You don't want to get a big section going, so you can tape off and mask off with plastic around the pad you're doing. Tape off or put a wooden dowel in the expansion joint so you don't fill those joints, because it's just going to crack. What you can do later is you come back in with a mason's brush or a paintbrush, and you can actually paint this stuff in to blend it into the expansion joint without causing the expansion joint not to work and affecting the integrity of that expansion joint. But you can blend it. You can do the edges of curves and upside down with a paintbrush or a mason's brush. That's a beautiful thing about it. And then if you mess up the first one, say, oh man, I worked it in there, but I left one corner a little bit light. No problem. Wait 2 hours, mist it with water, and come back over and do a second coat. Do a third coat. It doesn't matter, as long as you get it right and you're happy with it, then you can stop. And the way that it's usually finished, because you're using a squeegee to actually work this material into the pores of the concrete and cover it up, there's going to be squeegee marks. So you wait until it's about thumbprint dry. It's like a thumbprint on a cookie, and then you can finish it off with a finish broom, and get it a nice broom finish. It's been fantastic, because like I said, you're repairing the cracks and all the damage, but you kind of want it to look nice. You do all that effort into it, and it looks like a quilt. But now you can go over it with this resurfacer, or even if it's just ugly, if it's stained up and ugly, and you go over it with the recap, and you've got what looks like brand new concrete, and structurally, and it's great. I put it on my driveway. My son was kind enough to empty his transmission fluid on my driveway, which was about 3 years old at the time. So I had to redo my driveway with it, and I park on it every day, and it's still there. It's fantastic. It's really, really user friendly. And like I said, if you do make a mistake, you just go right back over the top of it with another coat. Usually a bag does about 65 square feet at 1/16 of an inch. So you're looking at like maybe $1 a square foot, which is nothing compared to what it would cost to get rid of existing concrete and have new concrete poured in its place. It's incredible. So with that in mind, there's one thing I was going to tell you on that. Your working time is like about 20 minutes. So if it's going to be warm outside, make sure you're ready and don't overdo it. Do one at a time. Make sure you have somebody helping you, somebody mixing, you squeegeeing, them finishing, and things like that. That'll really help you out with that as well. So any questions on that so far? Cool. We're just blazing through this. I hope it's not too boring for you guys. So the next product, I thought I'd talk about this because it's something we didn't really cover a lot on the last one either, was the surface bonding cement. What surface bonding cement is, it's a fibered cement mixture that's used like a super stucco, if you will. You can dry stack block, just like you see in that picture right there. Go over on both sides with the surface bonding cement at about like 1/8 to 1/4 inch, and it's actually stronger than a mortared wall. The state of California says you can't go over 4 foot high, but if you want to just dry stack your block and go over it with surface bonding cement and give it a finish, it's fantastic. And not only that, it's waterproof. So with this one, you're going to definitely want to use an acrylic fortifier and mix it in the mix with it. Make sure the block or the concrete wall is damp and clean, and go to work. And if you have subgrade block or subgrade slab or a foundation, you can coat it with this, and it'll stop that moisture from getting into the basements and things like that. Plus, it just beautifies the yard. You can do a nice little Santa Barbara type finish on it. You can color it. It comes in gray and a white, so you can color it with the fibers in it. It's really strong. People have asked me, can you stipple it and finish it like a stucco? Not really, because it is fibered. So you're not gonna be able to take a wet sponge and pull out the sand like you would in a finish coat of stucco. Um, but it's fantastic, and it works really well with that. Anybody that needs to waterproof something or actually just beautify a wall, it's a really fantastic product that I think is underused in the industry. Um, and like I said, you can go on the website and you can pull the spec data sheet right off of our website and read up a little bit more on it if you'd like. There's also another one that's a waterproofer. It's called a heavy duty masonry coating, and some of the yards are carrying this as well. It mixes up like a cream of wheat type consistency, and it's actually applied directly to a pond to waterproof the pond. It's safe for the fish, to waterproof a basement wall to stop leakage and seepage and moisture from getting through the block. You want to definitely use acrylic fortifier with this in the mix. You mix it up and actually take a mason's brush and apply it, and it waterproofs your wall. And it has like a natural kind of almost like a broomed finish. Obviously, you're using a mason's brush, but it has like a broomed finish to it, so it's a little rougher than like the surface bonding cement. So if you're looking for a smoother finish, go with the surface bonding cement. But if you really want a great product to waterproof, the heavy duty masonry coating is fantastic in it. You can use it on the ponds and it won't kill off your koi. So it's a really fantastic product to use for that, for the masonry coating is. Another product that I was going to kind of talk about when talking about beauty and beautification and things like that are this concrete countertop mix. It was really, really popular for a long time, and there's a bunch of different concretes out there that people are selling for like $50 a bag, and you don't need it. Cheng Designs was using our Quikrete 5000 for years until he got his private label on it, and then they start charging a lot of money for those bags. What makes this different than a regular concrete mix is it's really specially formulated. It's got plasticizers in it that make it flowable without adding excess water, which was a big pitfall of people doing concrete countertops because they were trying to get it around molds. They added too much water so they could work it, and there's a lot of shrinkage cracks, and a lot of issues with the spalling on the top. So with this, your lower water content and the plasticizer's workability increase the strength and the success rate of the product. You're looking at 6,000 psi. One thing you want to make sure when you're using any concrete countertop mix is you want to make sure it's not moving. There's no vibration around it. There's no bumping into it or anything for at least 24 hours before and after you pour. You break the molds loose at about like 18 hours. After 18 hours, you can take this stuff and you can add color to it. You can swirl it with color if you want. You can add marble chips. You can add glass chips. You can do all those fun things you do. Or I've seen them where they've actually polished them out. It's like a 7-stage polish, and the thing is like a bowling ball. It was black and it was incredible. It was beautiful. But stay under 2 inches. You start trying to pour like a 4-inch countertop, it's going to crack. So make sure that your substrate, your cabinetry, or whatever you're putting on can support the weight of all that concrete, because it is concrete after all. It's going to be really heavy. It's just a great product. It's available in white. The white's called tintable base. It's not called white in the price list, but it's tintable base. That's our white, and we have a gray. Add colors to it, it's fantastic. When you add color to a gray mix, it has a tendency to turn out darker. So if you're trying to get those light pastels, that Tuscany kind of pastel buffs and things like that, go with a white base. It accepts colors a little bit easier, and it's a little bit easier on getting the tone that you want. This product is fantastic. It's a fast-setting. We own the company High Performance Cement, HPC. We have a line there. You can look it up online as well. There's a self-leveling floor resurfacer that's fantastic. Comes in a 5-gallon bucket. But what we're going to talk about on this hunt here is the High Performance Cement, the HPC stucco patch. Taking out windows, replacing windows, adding a little bit onto some piece of existing stucco or piece got busted out or did repair. Anytime you need to do a repair, this is fantastic. It's polymer modified, so you don't need to add a separate bonding adhesive or any type of fortifier. You just need to make sure you scrub it with a wire brush, make sure all loose debris is off, that it's damp, and it's got about a 20-30 minute work time. You want to use this for patching. It's fantastic because you can go over it and paint it with a water-based latex paint in 2 hours. So for guys that are on the job, you can put this in your truck, go do your stucco patch, hit lunch and come back, paint it and go home. You don't have to worry about waiting for it to cure to come back to paint it. So that's fantastic. It saves time, saves money. It's an incredible product. I'll give you a little hint too. Everybody, a lot of questions about coverage. It's really, really simple, and I'll show you a way to cheat. If you have a product that doesn't have aggregate in it, let's say you have this 20-pound pail right here of a stucco patch. If there's no aggregate in it, you take the weight of the pail, which is 20 pounds, divide it in half, which is 10, and that's how many square feet it'll do at a 1/4 inch. It's really simple. If somebody asks how many bags do I need in a sand topping mix, it's a 60-pound bag. Well, it'll do 30 square feet at a 1/4 inch. So you can almost hit it every time like that, and it's super simple. That way, when you guys that work the counter, it makes you guys look really, really on it and builds confidence with the customer as well. So it's a good way to cheat. Plus, I got the little calculators, which I'll make sure all you guys have stocked up as well. But this is a fantastic product for patching, doing repairs on stucco. Like I said, you're done in a day. You don't have to wait the 3 days, come back, rinse it, and paint it. The Q-Max is another product that I was hoping to talk about. Our products are geared for the pros, but made for easy use for consumers. What the Q-Max is it offers all the benefits of a fast setting concrete, but it's got a 1 hour working time. You can walk on it in 3 hours, and at the end, it's 6,500 PSI. It's a fiber reinforced concrete that's amazingly strong. It reduces freeze thaw, it's air entrained, and it does all the things you expect out of a really, really high performance concrete, but it's user friendly. You've got an hour working time, which is fantastic. I don't finish concrete fast, so this is one that I would use just to even pour in a slab for a shed, because that working time and the way the product's designed, how rich the product is, the fibers for the shrinkage crack that helps reduce shrinkage cracks, having the fibers in there, makes it a great product for people to use, that are not only professional that demand the best, but for homeowners that are giving it a shot for their first time. And that's important, that we make it as easy as possible so they have the success and they feel confident, and they know when they come to Granite, they're gonna send them with the right stuff, and they're gonna make sure that they have the support from me and you guys as well to get it done. And this is one of the products that's a no-brainer. It's just like using mason mix versus a regular mortar mix. You make it contractor quality, but ease of use for your homeowners. That's a win-win. So this is something, I know a lot of the branches don't stock it, but it's available. All the stuff's available. If you need samples, let me know. I got a truck, so I'd be glad to help you guys out. And that's me. Those of you that don't have my card, it's got my cell number on it. It's got my email. I'm really easy to get a hold of, sometimes too easy to get a hold of, but it's always my pleasure to talk to you guys and help you with these products. You can put the customer on the phone. You can have the customer call me. I'm at your disposal all the time. So they pay for my cell phone bill, make them pay for it. So is there any questions about everything? I tried to cram so much in here. And there's so many more products I could go over. So when you see me in the branch, just pull me aside and say, hey, you were talking about this. I'd be glad to talk about any of the products with you. I'd be glad to make sure that you have the confidence to sell your customers what they need and what's going to be successful for them and the right products, so you don't have to worry about coming back with a complaint. You also have the knowledge now with surface prep and things like that to where you can help them achieve success without worrying about the failures, the common pitfalls, like surface prep. Almost guarantee you probably 85% of the problems jobs I went to were surface prep. It's very rare we have a product fail. We've been doing this over 75 years. So if there's no other questions, thank you everybody. Thank you, Jackie and Elizabeth. Thank you so much for allowing me to to babble at you for 45 minutes and giving me an opportunity to help you guys. And I look forward to seeing you all in person. So
Dave, I just want to thank you, bro. You've never failed me, man. I appreciate all your help, man.
You got it,
Seriously. Every time I've had an issue, you've always showed up to the job, assisted me. So I appreciate you a great deal.
Thanks, man. It's my pleasure. Like I said, we've been partners with Granite for ever since I've been with Quikrete, man. So it's like you guys are family. So you take care of your brothers, you know. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you.
That was awesome, Dave. Thank you so much.
I
You
have a
got
question,
it,
Dave. You
Yes.
mentioned that eroded rebar is a common thing that makes concrete crack.
It can, yes.
And you mentioned that before you patch that up, you want to make sure to clean it. Do you guys sell a product that helps with cleaning the rebar?
You know, the best thing is blast. You can use some etchers and cleaners that are designed for that. The only problem sometimes with that is getting the residue out there when you put your patching material in there. It's best if they can get blasted, cleaned, or you can even just take wire brush and really scrub it down, coarse wire brush. It's just important because that what you're seeing of that rust, the actual byproduct, that rust, it reacts with the cements and things like that and can cause cracking. That's why they were having a problem when they were using cheap rebar for a while. I don't know if you guys remember, but like in 06, they were bringing in really cheap rebar and stucco wire, and they were having issues with cracking, and they were finding out that substandard material was causing issues. So it's really important just to cover your bases. It may not cause a problem, but why go through all the effort and take the chance that it's going to fix it and find out later, man, I should have cleaned that rebar. Usually it's just getting in there with the wire brushes, getting all the oxidation off and cleaning it and rinsing it and using cleaning agents. But if you do use some type of an acid base, you have to make sure you neutralize it with baking soda and water and rinse. What they say, it's dilution is the mother of all neutralization. So you know, rinse.
Another question would be, so if you have a crack in your driveway, what would you say is like the biggest size it can be for it to be repairable?
It can be as big as you need it to be, you know. I mean, or as big as it is, the products like the facet repair mortar, it'll go 2-inch, no problem. Just make sure that the reason why it's that big is not a bigger issue. Understand that maybe once you do seal it off with a repair product, it might settle because no more water is getting down in there and the water pressure holding the slab up. So it may crack. You may have to do it a couple times. But with a product like vinyl concrete patch, stay within about a 1/2 inch or so. Facet repair mortar, you can put that stuff as thick as you want. And when you're using things like if you're using the concrete crack seal, in the quart, put sand down in the crack, because all you're doing is sealing the top of the crack. You don't need to fill the whole thing, because if you try dumping that stuff down in there, sometimes you can go through bottles and bottles of that stuff. You don't need to fill it, you just need to seal it. So if you have a large crack like 2 inches big, it should handle it. Repair mortar, facet repair mortar should handle it, no problem.
Oh, that's amazing. Any other questions out there? Don't be shy, guys.
It's just me.
Dave, I just want to say that, yeah, you've been very helpful here in the Watsonville branch. Every time I call you, you're very, very helpful. So thank you, and thank you for this seminar. It really was knowledgeable seminar, so it was good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. No, it's my pleasure. Like I said, some of you I've been dealing with for so long, and we've had so many of these, and I hope, maybe this, for some of you, like Mary, I bet you this is probably the 10th time you've heard me do a seminar. I hope I can bring something informative to it, and mainly just to make your guys' job easier. Like I said, there's so many products out there that it can be overwhelming, but you're going to get probably 50% of the time the same questions. That's pretty much the same question that Jackie asked me. And having the confidence in the product to say it just makes your job that much easier. And if I can help with that, I'm honored. So thank you.
Thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your participation and hope it was of your liking. We also hope to see you all here Thursday, October 20th to further expand your knowledge on Stone Universe products. Our guest speaker will be Mo, same time as today, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Once again, I would like to thank Dave for taking time today to share his knowledge with us. That concludes today's product knowledge seminar. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. Take care,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome. It's great talking with you. Take care, everybody.
Later, bro.
See ya.